All right, so we're joined from Clinton by the owner of the Artisan Hair Company, local entrepreneur LeLe Brown. We thank you so much for joining us. I've got a room full here with me at Velma Jackson High School, and we're recording this for our friends at Rosa Scott, Ridgeland High School, Madison Central, Germantown High School, the Academic Options Center, and our YouTube channel. We're in the Business Administration Career Cluster, which entrepreneurship is such a big part of. And so many of these young people talk about, I want to be a business owner. I want to, I want to run my own business, want to be my own boss, but they never learn how to run a business and don't know what goes into it. So you are a very skilled hairstylist, very skilled at your wigs and your bundles, but you also are a very skilled businesswoman. So it really takes those skills to go together to be a great entrepreneur, no matter what your area is. And before you came on, we talked about you are a female run, female oriented business, but the things that you talk about can apply to anybody that decides to go into business for themselves. So I do want our young men to realize that even though they probably don't have much need for your service, they can get a lot of what you say to be successful as an entrepreneur. So thank you again for taking some time for us today.
Absolutely.
Now, before we jump into the Artisan Hair Company, Clinton High School, you went to Ole Miss, originally going to be a nurse. So then you kind of did a 180. So take us through that whole process because it is quite interesting.
It was quite a journey. So I grew up, first of all, around hair. My mom's a stylist. That's something that I endeavored to do for a very long time. But of course, you know, we have other paths that we that we tend to go. As kids, we don't always think, through to the end of our journeys. And sometimes we don't know, and that's okay. It takes us a while to get there. But I decided I was going to go to Ole Miss initially for pharmacy school, actually, pharmacy school. And then I decided I didn't want to do that. I wanted to be a nurse. So I went to nursing school at William Carey after I left Ole Miss. And, I loved nursing school. Ultimately, the whole situation didn't work out for me. But when I came home, I went to cosmetology school and I started working at Lowe's, and I was working there part-time while I was in school, and I was doing hair on the side. Like I was doing things to try to, move forward, since nursing school didn't work out. And so I started with cosmetology and I never looked back. Like that's that's really what happened.
Yeah, and obviously you're very skilled. We looked at, I know that's an old video you have on YouTube, but it shows inside your salon and some of the things you guys do. But somebody can be a very skilled stylist, somebody can be a very skilled cosmetologist, skilled barber, but it's a whole different animal when you're the boss. You don't have somebody getting up every day to tell you how to do things. You got to pay the bills, you got to handle the books, and
Right.
all the stuff we see on Instagram and the pictures and all that's a lot of fun, but there's a lot more to it than that. So talk about how the Artisan was born, because it really has become quite successful here in the area.
So Artisan Hair Company was born in 2013. That's when I started. I was still in cosmetology school at the time. And I came up with my business plan and my name and all the ideas. I wrote everything down. I'm thinking I still have the book to this day. I came up with the logo. I mean, everything from start to finish, from getting my LLC to making sure I had insurance policies. Like there's a lot that goes into running a brick and mortar business. Like it's one thing to, sell online and do all that, but when you have an actual brick and mortar where you're inside of a building that you lease or own, or, it's a different situation. You literally have to take care of everything from business licensing to licensing with the city, taxes. There's a lot that goes into that. So I started in 2013. I got my LLC and everything together. 2015 is when I started working actually in my salon. It was November 2015 that we actually got everything together. I remember being in Miami at the time, and I ordered all of this stuff for my salon. And, everything is, you're on a high when you start, and you quickly realize like how big things can become when you're starting a business. You know, a lot of things are trial and error, and you really have to get a good mentor. That's super important because this is something that you've never done. You know what I'm saying? So you can go in blind, but researching and making sure you know your next steps is paramount. And having a mentor that can kind of show you the ropes. And for me, one of my biggest mentors, of course, was my mom. Our business models are different, our businesses are different, but because she's a stylist and she's owned a salon for very many years, she's been able to kind of usher me through this whole process. So it's been
Yeah,
it's been cool.
yeah, and you make a great point there because I see we were talking about before you came on about people think they can cook a little bit, so they think I should open a restaurant. They may have great food, but if they don't know anything about running a
Yeah,
restaurant, they aren't going to be successful. Or I design cool video games. You can make a cool video game, but if you can't run a business, you're not going to be successful. And I had a guest last year who was a doctor, a GI doctor, one of the best in her field, and she said herself, I didn't know what I was getting into because it's the business side of it that really fouls people up. Now, obviously, you have to learn the salon industry, you had to get licensed, but what are some things you had to figure out? Because, like you said, it's trial and error, and we see the glamorous side, but there's a lot of behind the scenes things.
definitely. Getting clients, I don't want to say it's the easy part, but honestly, that's the easy part. I mean, if you're talented, you know what I'm saying? Like the clients will come, but definitely making sure your customer service is A1, you know what I'm saying? Um, some of the things that I had, let's see, I don't know, because I'm a researcher. You know what I'm saying? If there are things that I don't know, it's very easy for me to just go and figure it out. Like
Yeah.
every single thing from start to finish. All of that I mentioned before is something that can trip you up when it comes to business. Because you start a business, let's say you get a building or something, like you can't just go into business. You can't just say I have a building, so I'm going to start working. There are things that are mandated by the state, that are regulated by the Board of Cosmetology when it comes to owning a salon business. Every business is different and every business is regulated differently. But when it comes to the salon business, all the boxes must be checked because you also have to worry about sanitation. And it was especially difficult during COVID when we had to pivot, to figure out what that looked like for us. You know what I'm saying? So there are a lot of things along the way that you kind of have to be like, oh, okay, well, I didn't know that. Let me, I'll implement that into my business. Um, Even things as small as running a register, you know, even though I did something like that when I worked at Lowe's, that was that company's register
Yep.
that they trained me on, you know what I'm saying? That they taught me how to work. So when I opened my own business, had a whole new system, a whole new situation to learn. And that's in addition to everything else that I have to do. You know what I'm saying? And not only am I a salon owner, but I'm a full-time stylist. So, it's a lot that goes into that.
Yeah, and we'll come back to the COVID things, but you mentioned about doing your research because you research, even though you're from Clinton, you researched where you were going to put your we're going to where you were going to put your location. I can't spit the words out. And you said, because of where you are, you have every walk of different clientele come in there with all different hair types. And that's broadened your customer base to where you go back to customer service. If people know no matter what type of hair I have, I can go in there and get my hair done. It's gonna make that customer base so much bigger, but that also holds you to a higher standard of customer service. Because I say all the time, an entrepreneur needs customers more than the customer needs the entrepreneur.
Definitely. Absolutely. We thrive on customers. Like that's the only way the business can be run. You know what I'm saying? Like having a steady flow of customers also is, a big deal because you want to think about location. You want to think about the demographic of the area that you're in. Are you in a predominantly Black, Latino, white area? You know what I'm saying? You just think about everything. Like, is that your expertise. Like if you're only skilled in ethnic hair and you go in a predominantly, white area, you're going to have to think about some things differently. You know what I'm saying? Either you're going to have to change your skill set, or you're going to have to go to an area where you know how to get more business for yourself. And that's not to sound, you know, I'm trying to have you guys take this with a grain of salt. You know what I'm saying? But that's
Oh,
being
it's,
real.
I
That's
mean,
being realistic about,
that's
especially about
business.
industry. You know what I'm saying? That's
Yeah.
business, and that's that you really have to think about. So your
Yeah,
location,
absolutely.
I'd like to think that we found a really good location.
Oh, absolutely. I think it's a great location. Now, and you mentioned about customer service too, because a mistake that I see so many young kids make, because we've had several students at Velma Jackson start their own businesses right out of high school or while they were in high school. And a mistake that I see no matter what they're doing is they 9 times out of 10, I'm telling you, you're not charging enough, because you have to get out of that mindset of I'm 15, 16, 17 years old. This is what my friends
Yeah,
will pay. And you said yourself, you aren't cheap, but you are able to back that up because not only of your quality of work, but your customer service and the atmosphere that you created in your salon. So talk about that, because, again, you could be a great stylist, but if you're not charging enough per head, you're not going to make any money.
absolutely. And I had to learn that too. Starting out. Now, I tried to charge my worth, or what I thought, my work was worth. But I'm sure starting out, I could have charged a whole lot more. But we do have that mindset that not only when we start out, a lot of our customers are family and friends, and we feel like we have to, um, give discounts, which discounts are fine, especially when you're starting, but make sure that it's a discount and that doesn't become your everyday price for, everyone. And you just feel bad because, oh, this person can't pay this or that or whatever. It's a business. And as you guys see how the economy is moving, you can quickly lose in that business if you don't start out how you need to with your chart, with your prices, with your policies, all of that. So I'd say start out charging your worth. There is a lot that goes into having any type of licensure for anything. You have to go to school for these things, you have to pay for certifications, you have to gain a clientele, you make business cards, you have flyers. There's a lot of work that goes into it. And you want to make sure that people understand your level of expertise. If you're good at what you do, there aren't many people out there who are great at what they do, have good customer service, and actually care about people. So, if you are the total package, charge your worth for sure. For sure.
Absolutely. And that's a great pivot and a great segue, because during COVID, obviously the salon industry took a big hit.
For
But
sure.
because of your skill set and because of the way your business is set up, you guys really didn't miss a beat. Because even though your background is the styling and somebody in the chair, you were able to still create a lot of revenue off customized wigs and bundles. And now you've got your own hair care products that you're able to sell. So you have the online business and the brick and mortar business, which is an unbelievable combo that a lot of businesses cannot do. So talk a little bit about that, because during COVID, a lot of cosmetologists were sweating, but you guys didn't miss a beat.
A lot of hard work. For sure. I was already selling wigs and bundles and stuff. I've been doing that since really since I started, since before Artisan Hair Company was a thing. I was into selling hair. So when it when COVID started, it was kind of, I'm not going to say easy because none of it was easy, but it was easier to pivot for me because immediately it's like, okay, what else do I have? You know, my talent is great working with my hands, doing hair, but you always need something to back it up. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to have that extra income, or especially in the beauty industry, retail is everything. So, when COVID happened, the best thing for me to do was to start, selling my products a lot more. I started posting a lot more about, wigs and bundles and things that clients can do at home to take care of their hair. So, ultimately it just worked out.
Yeah, and it also gives the customer incentive where you can have the packages. You can say, look, come sit in my chair, buy my product and get $5 off, $10 off, whatever. And you're really not losing anything on that. And you're getting a loyal customer because they're like, look, I'll pay for convenience. That's what I always say. A customer will pay for convenience to save a trip.
Definitely. Like I have a lot of customers who not only pay for convenience, but they drive, hours. They drive hours to come see me. So it's convenience and it's the expertise, it's the person, you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah, and really going to a great lengths to have a great atmosphere there in your salon because you know, and you've been very vocal about this. Unless a kid is getting their hair done, you don't want them in there because people want to relax, people want to not be bothered. And again, I can't fault you for that. I think that's a great idea because when people are going to pay that much money, they want to be able to be in a relaxing atmosphere.
absolutely. I love kids. I really do. But the salon environment can be a very dangerous one. We have hot tools, we have, color, there are products everywhere. So we just want our environment to be not only a relaxing environment, but safe for everyone. So,
Absolutely. Now I do have some questions from the students, and these are really good. And these are all ninth graders.
okay.
This first one is Kelsey Burrell, one of our power lifters here.
LC.
Yeah, and she's asked, "What is your favorite aspect of being an entrepreneur?"
My freedom. That is my favorite aspect. I can set my own schedule. I wake up when I want to. Well, of course, a lot of people say that, if you're your own boss in the beauty industry, you're not really your own boss. You have a lot of clients who depend on you. But I'd like to think that I'm my own boss. I get to have coffee in the mornings if I want to, or, those small things that are stressors for a lot of people. We have a lot of different stressors too as business owners, but there are other things that make up for it, like my freedom. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Yeah, I know you went on vacation for like a month because you
Okay.
could. Yeah, that was awesome. This is a great question here. This is Leah Smith, one of our volleyball players here, and she asked, "Do you ever plan on opening more than one location?"
That is a great question. So currently, I'm not opening necessarily another location, but I maybe in the near future may have a salon suite in Texas, and I'll be working back and forth. So I'm working on that at this moment.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And that's cool that you say that because I know last time you were with us, you were very vocal about saying you don't have to go to these big cities to be a successful entrepreneur. But that doesn't mean you can't you can't get their money too.
Exactly. It was never really my so when I first started Artisan Hair Company, when I was about 3 years in, I did say that after a while I wanted to branch out and own another salon. But I thought at the time I wanted a different business model. I thought that I wanted to be more of a commission-based salon. And either way, it's still a lot of work. And you really have to think about your lifestyle and other things that you're doing, like what your hobbies are, what you enjoy, what makes you happy. And I didn't do that because my lifestyle and fitness was very important to me at the time, and I wanted to have both. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah,
I really didn't have the time to devote to having another salon and building out that other part. And that was a personal decision. But if you want multiple locations in multiple areas, you do the work.
absolutely. Now this is a great question too. This is Ashton Garrett, one of our football players here, and he asked what, and he's got two questions. I'm have both of them because they're both good. The first one is, what type of branding have you done to make sure your name is out there?
Ooh, okay. Well, we've been in the Best of Jackson. This year, we've been nominated in the Best of Mississippi Awards. And they put your name out there for a bunch of things. And you're on social media a lot. Personally, I've had business cards I've had newspaper articles and ads. I've done let's see. We have yet to have a billboard. I want a billboard, but that's gonna be in the near future. Let's see. Social media is probably my main source of advertising and branding. Well, he said branding, so I
Yeah.
assume, does he mean like advertising or like,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
And you also designed your own logo, which is one of the coolest
Oh
logos
yeah,
because it's,
I put my logo on
yeah.
everything. When
Yeah.
I say everything, I put it on everything. Okay, I have t-shirts. Um, Even when I'm out in public, like when people compliment me on my hair or something, I always try to give them something with my logo or my name on it because it's very distinct. So when you see it, if you see it again, you'll know where it
Yeah.
came from. But
That's awesome.
oddly enough, I'm thinking of changing the logo this year. So
Oh, I can't wait if you do that. I can't wait to see it. His other question, and this is great. He said, when dealing with customers, how do you keep your patience?
that is a good question. Well, like we said before, these businesses don't run without customers. Okay, that's the whole reason for being in a service-based industry. And you have to first understand that. Like, don't get into a service-based industry where your purpose is to serve customers and you can't have patience. So as time moves on, this industry becomes a lot more demanding. People are wanting different things these days. People's schedules are all over the place. My schedule is all over the place. So, you know, it's kind of hard to always be zen when it comes to, to customer service. However, you just have to. Like, I don't even know how else to explain that. Like, you can't get upset and go off on customers. You may not be, as a small business owner, you're not a big corporation. I mean, the biggest thing someone's probably going to do is call the Better Business Bureau or report you or something like that. You know what I'm saying? But you still have to have a rapport with people.
Yeah.
And, those people are going to tell other people, and those people are going to tell other people. And if you're running your business on word of mouth, your customer service is going to be the best thing for you.
Yeah.
Your good customer service.
Yeah. And then again, that allows you to be able to charge more because people know what they're getting. And it really is, and that allows you to offer more things to people. And, I always say, if people will buy it, why not sell it? So,
Yeah,
all right,
that's
I've got
true.
one more from the students. This is Samaya Williamson, one of our basketball and volleyball players, and she asked, if I wanted to start my own business, what advice would you give me before I began?
Before you begin, as I stated before, make sure you're talking to someone and you have a mentor. Have a checklist of everything that you personally think you may need. Before you do your research, write down everything, all of your thoughts, all of your aspirations, write them in a book, write them somewhere where you can see them, put them on sticky notes, post them everywhere. Like, make sure you're organized. That's one thing I think I struggled with in the beginning, just because when you're a new business owner, everything is all over the place. You don't really know what you're doing. You just hop out there in hopes that things work out, because when you start, you're running on hope. You know what I'm saying? So make sure you stay organized. After you have your checklist of the things that you think you need, then you do your research on the things that you actually need. And you need a whole new checklist of all the must haves for your business. And once you check everything off that list, then you can move forward. Don't ever start a business where you can't afford to you can't afford to run your business on your own should things happen. There are many different ways that businesses start as far as funding is concerned.
Yeah.
And that's a whole different situation. But when you're talking about capital, you can either start with your own funding, you can start with seed funding, you can start with bank loans, you can start with credit cards. There are many different ways, but you have to start with what's best for you and your lifestyle. Do not jump into something that you cannot afford. You know what I'm saying? Yeah,
Yeah, and then find your resources, because there are minority business owner grants available in Mississippi that
definitely.
have really been helpful in the last few years. Now, we're almost out of time, and we thank you so much for making some time for us. But before we go, a couple of things. First of all, tell us where to find you online, because we got prom season right around the corner after Christmas. We've always got weddings. You're one of the best in the business, so tell us where to find you online if they need to get any products or use your services.
Absolutely. You can find me online a lot of places, but artisanhaircompany.com is our main website. It's like the hub. So from there, you can pretty much see everything. If you go to the salon tab on Artisan Hair Company, you'll see the different stylists on there. You can book the stylist from there. You can see our Instagram and Facebook pages. And from the Instagram and Facebooks, there are many links that just branch out. Just click on stuff and see what we have going on. The prom season is a pretty busy time for us. So, make sure you book appointments in advance. You're buying hair in advance. You can stop by to see us at Artisan Hair Company. We are in Clinton at 400 Cynthia Street. So, yeah, if you just type in Artisan Hair Company in Google, we'll pop up.
Yeah, it's right off Northside Drive. You cannot
Yeah.
miss it. Right there on the main drag in Clinton. Now, before we go, and I got some young men here with me as well, and obviously most men are not going to be starting a female oriented hair business. But at the end of the day, you're still a Black business owner right here in the area that has grown up in the area. So you're a testament that being a small business owner can work in the Jackson area, and you can be successful at it. So if these kids have any aspiration of being an entrepreneur, no matter what it is, what can they do now to start preparing for that as they get through high school?
Number one is to believe you can. Don't listen to the noise. I never once thought that, oh, this is Jackson. This is this type of place. So I can't do this. Yes, you can. Like, it's absolutely possible. You have to just be smart about it. Make sure that you have good business practices and get started. I want to I just want to encourage you guys real quick. um, when I got started with my business, I had a certain amount of money that I put into my business. I was young and I was very faith based and I just had hope that these things would work. I got started and I never stopped.
Wow.
Like, there's not a time when the money stopped, even during COVID, natural disasters, whatever, so you just have to believe that that's something you can do and actually just do the work. There is nothing that beats hard work. That's it. That's it.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, LeLe Brown, the artisan herself, owner of Artisan Hair Company right there in Clinton, artisanhaircompany.com. Thank you so much for fitting us in today. We really appreciate it.
You're
And I will
welcome.
definitely, and hopefully in the spring we can have you on campus again. I'd love to see you over here because you're always a great guest. So,
I would definitely.
all right, talk to you soon, my friend. Have a great day.
You too. Bye. Thanks for
See ya.
having me.